Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And if you've been sleeping for the last week and you've missed everything that has happened around the Las Vegas Raiders, don't worry. You're in the right place. What's going to be happening here on today's show is we're going to look at a little bit of a Raiders free agency tracker. I'm going to tell you all the players that the Raiders have signed because they have technically signed or re-signed 6 guys as it stands right now. And I'll tell you the guys that they have officially moved on from and where their salary cap is currently at. I wouldn't be able to do today's show, no cap, if it wasn't for today's sponsor, Manscaped. And if you haven't already, code Raiders, manscaped.com, 20% off, and you're going to be able to get free shipping on the male grooming products that I trust. And if you trust me, then you'll trust Manscaped. So again, coming up here, we're going to get into the moves that are officially official. So remember, the legal tampering period for NFL free agency started March 11th. At noon Eastern time and ran until March 13th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Well, now we are officially out of this legal tampering period. It is officially the new league year here for the NFL. New year, new Raiders. If we're going to the Super Bowl, click that like button right now. So what I figured I would do here is, since all these updates are coming out that are like officially official, I am going to run through a tracker just to show you everything that the Raiders have done. And that way you have a more clearer picture of where this team stands as it is exactly right now. And then at the back half of the video, we're going to go old school Raiders report. I got some fun questions that are thrown in here from all the people that are watching this video live. So from Raiders free agency, the first move that they technically did was, or one of the first moves, was they re-signed Ameer Abdullah. They brought him back on a 1-year, $1.85 million deal. He's got $850 guaranteed. That's going to be your third down scat back. Offers you some special teams ability there. Andre James signed a 3-year, $24 million deal. The first 2 years are guaranteed. He's also on the books for 6.3 against the cap this season. Christian Wilkins was the big time, I think the biggest signing outside of Chris Jones in free agency so far. 4-year, $110 million deal with almost 85 guaranteed. I mean, we've been sitting up here saying, hey, let's go get a defensive tackle. Let's go get some Maxx Crosby help, a little bit of Malcolm Kuhn's help. And as it stands right now, I am not afraid to say this, and I'm telling y'all right now, the Raiders have a top 5 defense with Christian Wilkins and arguably have the best defensive line because of this big guy right here. The numbers that he is going to be able to create for this defense, I can't wait to see what this D looks like. Giggity. The move that's probably the most controversial amongst the nation right now is Gardner Minshew to a 2-year, $25 million deal with $15 million guaranteed. Gardner Minshew is going to be the Raiders' backup quarterback. Like, to me, this plan still indicates that they are going to look for a QB in the draft. Like, that is their plan. We have already known that Jaden Daniels has always been that plan A. However, if Jaden's not available, then they might have to look at some other quarterbacks. Maybe that's a Michael Penix Jr. Maybe that's a J.J. McCarthy. Maybe it's a Spencer Rattler, Bo Nix. I mean, whoever that might end up being. To me, though, the move of giving Minshew the money that they did is just saying, okay, he's going to be that security blanket in case we do have to roll with Minshew for a year, and then you let that quarterback sit back for a year. Aiden O'Connell is going to be the third-string quarterback, but again, like, Aiden is what it is. I would not have given this much money to Gardner because I am confident enough that Aiden could have been at least a reliable backup in the NFL. With this move, though, I mean, this just screams to me that Telesco and Antonio Pierce never actually valued Aiden as a starter, now even let alone as a backup. So AOC, to me, is probably going to be the quarterback 3, and I know some people don't think that that's the case. Look at the guaranteed money that they gave Gardner Minshew. Aiden is the quarterback 3. How about this, though? I like this question a lot. Did the Raiders overpay Gardner Minshew? Give me a yes or give me a no down below. So his cap hit for this season, I want to say, is $7 million, and then his cap hit next season is, I want to say, 13 on the books. Now, he's going to get some cash. He's going to get some of that guaranteed money. He's getting 15 mil guaranteed. I want to know, though, this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. Did the Raiders overpay Gardner Minshew? Yes or no? Let me know down below. I think they did overpay Gardner Minshew. I think he is a high-end backup quarterback. He is probably a top 30 QB. I'd probably rank him somewhere around 25. It is an upgrade over Aiden. But to me, the biggest reason why the Raiders did this is because their plan is to draft a quarterback. Gardner Minshew has been on multiple NFL franchises where he's had to help groom that rookie QB. One of the reasons why the Raiders offered a 2-year deal to Cliff Kingsbury, remember, that was shut down, is because they wanted a 2-year window. Gardner Minshew is built here to be this backup quarterback to help groom this next line of QBs here for Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. That's why they gave him a 2-year deal. Essentially, this is insurance. If you pay insurance on your car, if you pay insurance on your house, I bet you all the time you think, I'm overpaying for insurance. But when you do actually need it, it's good to have good insurance. And I think that's what Gardner Minshew is right now. Good insurance, but in the moment, it is a little bit of an overpay. Some other moves that the Raiders have made, I think Harrison Bryant, not a sexy move, I continue to say, but I have to applaud Telesco and Antonio Pierce for going out and making this move. This is an upgrade over Austin Hooper. I have sat up here on this show saying, hey, you need to be able to go out and find a tight end too that can block, and that's what Harrison Bryant is. He is a good blocking tight end that has 10 touchdowns to his name at 6'5", 230 pounds. Really good fit here in the Luke Getsy offense. And then Kana'i Muaga was re-signed yesterday. It was technically the only move that the Silver and Black did officially make. I'm going to say that the contract details are going to be somewhere around what Ameer Abdullah makes, essentially a little bit less. I should mention, though, just because you brought in Kana'i Muaga and Ameer Abdullah, see it every year, just because guys get signed or re-signed does not mean that they're going to be official lock for the 53-man roster. Kana'i Muaga is a good name for the offseason to have some extra bodies there in the rotation. But if I had to bet on it, I wouldn't say that he'd be on this official roster come game time. Some other moves that are officially official. The Las Vegas Raiders have released Brian Hoyer. They have officially released Jimmy Garoppolo, Hunter Renfrow, and Jerry Tillery. I should mention that it's been expected around all these moves. Well, how about this? I'll get into everything that you need to know around Garoppolo, Renfrow, the money saved, how it impacts the salary cap. But first, I am going to tell you about Manscaped, and these guys got cut. I don't want that to happen to you. And with our awesome sponsor here, Manscaped, your balls aren't going to have to worry about that either. Like, I'll be real with you. There was points in my life where, and Chugs, maybe you could speak on this, I bought cheap razors, and I bought cheap electric razors. I cut myself one time so flippin' bad that, oh man, I don't even know if I could say this. Let's just say I couldn't touch myself for a little while because of how bad of a cut I had. With Manscaped, I'm allowed to touch myself a lot, and I want you guys to be able to do the same. Manscaped.com, code Raiders for 20% off, and you're going to be able to get some free shipping. Matthew Y said he found his balls. I did. My balls were up in my throat after I freaking cut those things, man. But same, a little Carpet says, been there. Guess what? You're not going to be there with Manscaped. And I know that this is the time of the year we're all trying to get lucky. I'm talking about St. Patrick's Day, so get your head out of the gutter, right? And I want you to be able to embrace the luck of the Irish and join over 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. So head on over to manscaped.com. Use code Raiders for 20% off, and you're going to be able to get free shipping. Manscaped products to me are over the moon great. I love their boxers. I love their lawnmower 5.0. I do think that their weed whacker is a great tool on top of that, help you get in those hard-to-reach places. The beard hedger really helps clean up. Like, I'm a man that I used to not take care of my beard, and now the older and older I get, I'm starting to realize, like, if you use, shampoo, conditioner in your hair, I always say, if you put deodorant underneath your arms, you should put it on your balls. You should also take care of the hair that's on your face. I mean, earlier today, Chugs did a boot, had some little bit of the David Zahn milkshake dripping off there. You got to be able to take care of your beard. Manscaped helps you from head to toe, and that's why I think they're unmatched out there. And that's why I'm happy they've been a part of the show for about 4 years now. So if you haven't gotten it, I love me some Manscaped. I think you will too, and I think your lady friend's going to like it as well. So go to manscaped.com, code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping. All right, let's go back to the dudes that got cut. Brian Hoyer, Jimmy Garoppolo, Hunter Renfrow, and Jerry Tillery. With the moves here, the Raiders save a staggering $92,000 by cutting Brian Hoyer. They save, it depends on the Jerry Tillery contract. I have seen it at $2.2 million on over the cap. I've also seen it at $3.8 on Spotrac. The Raiders, though, I'll say at least are saving $2.2 million there. By moving on from Hunter Renfrow, they are not going to do a post-June 1st cut there. They're just going to take the dead cap hit. They're going to eat it, which is about a $5 million dead cap hit, and they're going to take the $8 million saved. With Jimmy Garoppolo, this is where I do think it's kind of interesting. So yesterday, Tashawn Reed from The Athletic reported that Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to do the post-June 1st cut, that they're just going to cut him outright. The Raiders are going to eat $17 million this year, and then the Raiders would save $11 million to be able to spend right away. The reason why the Raiders would do that is because then, if the Raiders do the post-June 1st cut, yes, they save $24 million. You don't get that money, though, until after June 1st, and on top of that, you're going to have to eat $12.8 million in dead cap in 2025. So Tashawn Reed reported that it's not going to be a post-June 1st cut, They're just going to outright cut him. However, now Vincent Bonsignore has said that there has still been no word on what the Raiders are doing for post-June 1st. I say it all the time. Just wait to see what the Raiders beat reporters say. Don't take it as news. Just take it as an opinion, and then wait to see it when a credible sources come out with it. So I don't know whether to believe Tashawn or whether to believe Vinny, but the bottom line is, after all these moves, if the Raiders are just cutting guys outright, they're going to have around $21.6 million to spend, which at the start of today meant that they would have been about $40 million. After the Harrison Bryant move, you're looking out about $37.5 million in salary cap space, somewhere in there for the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, now, let's get into some of these comments that have been around, some of the moves that the Raiders have made, haven't made, and all these are from people who are watching the show live right now. So if you're like, Mitch, how do I get on the Raiders report? Pull up live, because we're rocking. We got over 1,700 people here in the chat. With GM under contract, could we pass on quarterback this year, draft one next year? Not sure whose next year's quarterbacks are at the moment. Wilkins is a 3 technique, correct. Wilkins can play anywhere on the defensive line. Like, he's going to be over the center. To me, when you sign a player, I won't even get into the details here of 3-tech, and the only reason why that I say that is because he could play on a 3-man front. He could play on a 4-man front. Wilkins is that good of a player where he's going to be able to fit into any system that he wants to be able to go out and fit in. I don't think that the Raiders pass on a quarterback because I don't really see why they would waste an entire year. Like, I think Gardner Minshew is an upgrade over Aiden, but the Raiders were 8-9 last season. Gardner Minshew, I mean, if your defense is as elite as what it was, which, again, I'm hoping the Raiders have a top 5 defense in the league, Gardner probably gets you to 8-9, maybe 10 wins again, but do you have a legitimate shot at winning a Super Bowl? That I don't know. And some quarterbacks might. The quarterback I like the most that I'm going to be watching, Cam Ward, was at Washington State, transferred to the U. He's going to be the guy that I watch the closest. Let's go to RNFL. What's the best lineman to get in free agency? Maybe budget pickups. I would say if you're going to spend big at right guard, Kevin Zeitler would be the first name I would throw out. My budget pickup, it's not sexy. I'll go back to Greg Van Roten. He was reliable, can at least be a potential 6-man. If you're looking for an offensive tackle, I would say stay away from Tyron Smith because the last time he played right tackle, he was really, really freaking bad. Cornelius Lucas could be a cheap right tackle also to at least throw out there. And if you want to go big, a good competition, Mekhi Becton, Thayer Munford. You get a motivated Mekhi Becton, that's going to be a pretty damn good player in my book. Adam, next up here on the show, what do the Raiders need next? I say we need help at the cornerback position. Couldn't agree with you more, Adam. If I'm the Raiders, I am going to stick to my word here that Antonio Pierce said they're looking for a priority. Priority cornerback 1. Let's make it happen. I love what we have in Trevon Merrick, Marcus Epps, Nate Hobbs, Jack Jones. You're missing that 5th and final cornerback 1 secondary piece. If you're looking for a legit corner 1, his name's Kendall Fuller. If you want to go a little bit cheaper, Xavier Howard. You want to go a little bit cheaper, bigger risk? Also, Adoree Jackson, who has got some time with Patrick Graham. Let's go to, wow, Schlock Slooch. Is DJ Reader to the Raiders possible after Wilkins? Anything's possible. It's the NFL. I mean, I've sat up here and said before that I remember when I told people Khalil Mack's going to get traded. People called me all sorts of crazy things. I can remember when Devontae Adams, I sat up here and said, never going to happen. It ends up happening. Is it possible? Yes. Do I really think the Raiders would do it? No, not really. They got to like what their front is right now in Tyree Wilson, Malcolm Kuntz, Christian Wilkins, and Maxx Crosby. I will admit, though, if they were to bring in a guy like DJ Reader, he's probably going to be somewhere around $16, $17 million per year since defensive tackles are making a little bit more than what's expected. If they do that, though, it just speaks volumes of how much they do not believe in Tyree Wilson. Let's go to Trask Morgan next up here. What's your grade on the Raiders free agency move so far? I would say bringing back Ameer Abdullah to me is a C grade. Nothing special there. Average, good special teams player. Bringing back Andre James, 3 years, $24 million. I'll give that an A minus grade. It's not a sexy pick, but you need to be able to bring back your center. I'll then go with Christian Wilkins as an A plus to me. Yeah, you probably overpaid him a little bit, but if there was one spot I'm okay overpaying, it's at defensive tackle. Gardner Minshew, I'll give that one a D grade. It's just not the move that I would have done. I would have rather us allocated some of that other money to some other positions of need, though. Sometimes you got to overpay for insurance a little bit. Kana'i Muaga, D grade. I don't really see the need to bring him back. And then Harrison Bryant, I'm going to give that one a B minus grade. It's a good, non-sexy pick, but it's going to be a good fit for what the Raiders need. B minus, C plus, somewhere in there. So overall, I'd say the Raiders right now are at a B plus grade for free agency, which I'd be okay with with still $40 million basically to spend, we're gonna be good. I'm excited to see what Telesco and AP get. Let's go to David. Who do we get for a speed wide receiver? I guess it depends where you're looking. If you're looking in free agency, I don't really want the Raiders to spend a lot of money at the wide receiver position. You got Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, and you got a pass catcher also in Michael Mayer. Like, those are more than likely going to be your top 4 targets this upcoming season. Now, if you want to sign a speed, Quez Watkins is the name that I'll throw out there. A cheap wide receiver from Philly, legit 4.3 speed. Kind of got buried on that depth chart because of A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith was kind of like their third guy that they would use to stretch the field. I want a field stretcher. That's what we need here. Let's go to GC Sports. Did you see that the Bears might keep Fields to be a backup? I mean, right now, if I'm Chicago, that's what I would say. I wouldn't put Justin Fields even out there in a trade. Like, he's worth more than a 4th or a 5th round pick. But if teams know that you're going to get rid of somebody, it's kind of like putting something out on a yard sale and being like that's what Justin Fields is right now. He's at a yard sale. Everybody knows that Chicago is going to take a quarterback at 1. Nobody thinks that he has any value. So why am I going to give a premium pick, especially when all these other teams in the NFL, they're not offering premium picks right now for Justin Fields. So, if all you're getting is 4th and 5th round options, maybe it is better to just hang on to the guy and then see what happens. However, if I'm Chicago, you're more than likely just going to have to move on from him if you do legitimately want to take a quarterback. And I say that because I find it hard to believe that his value is going to go up anymore. The only way Justin Fields would improve his value on the Chicago Bears is if Caleb Williams, who you drafted number 1 overall, gets hurt, which the Chicago Bears do not want. So those are all the questions here. Again, shout out to all of y'all. I'm going to end this with this question. What position do the Raiders need to target next in free agency? Still a lot of positions out there to consider, but I need to know from the nation, and if you want to hear some of our answers here live on the show, we are still live. We have been live since 10 a.m. my time, so a little over, get close to 7 hours of straight live time here, and that's what the free agency is all about. So please let us know down below, and if you're not subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button for all things going on around the Raiders. If the Raiders make a signing, I'm going to let you know. If the Raiders cut a player, I'm going to let you know. And I hope that it's a big-time move because, man, there's nothing more electric, I think, than a big-time signing here on the Raiders Report. So fingers crossed that it ends up going down. And if it does, I don't want you to miss it because Chugs and I don't care what time of the day is, we're here to ball.